Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today's video is going to be part 2 of all of the imports in my collection. Now these are, to my knowledge, not available at all to buy in the UK. So these are all ones that if you want to get them, you've got to get one of the versions of the imports that I have. So this will probably be the last video maybe. I have still got some more I've not shown in these videos, but they're not necessarily great films, whereas these films I think still deserve to be spoken about that I didn't get around to talking about in the last video. So we have still got quite a few to get through, so I'll get straight on with it. Two Disney films to start with. First up we have one called McFarland USA, which as you can see stars Kevin Costner, and is, as with a lot of the Disney sports films, it is based on a true story about a coach that moves to, it doesn't actually say where he moves to, somewhere down south on the border of Mexico, I think, somewhere in a less privileged town, shall we say. And he basically finds these athletes and helps them reach their potential, I suppose you would say. And yeah, it's a really good feel-good story. If you like your feel-good sports films, if you like Kevin Costner, then definitely one that I would recommend. It is region free, A, B and C, so if you're looking to get this, then yeah, you're alright if you've got a region, whatever it is. Oh, we're region B, aren't we? You're fine to play it on your normal Blu-ray player. So yeah, that's McFarland USA. And next to say, I think this is region free as well, and that is Newsies, another Disney one based on the Newsboys back in the 20s, I think it was. Basically handing out the news, telling the news, but this is a musical with Christian Bale, Robert Duvall, who else is in this? Anne Margaret, Bill Pullman. Yeah, decent cast. And yeah, I remember it being good. If you like your musicals, this is a good musical. Again, a true story, so if you're interested in that, if that sounds like your thing, again, another good one. It's one of Christian Bale's first films as well. The music's by Alan Menken, who's done a lot of the Disney classic films. And yeah, under the radar one, I would say, and one that I'm glad that I've got in the collection, because it's a decent film. Next up, sticking with true stories, quite a few true stories here, we have The 33, which is about the 33 Chilean miners in 2010. They were basically buried alive in a mine collapse, and they were stuck in this mine for 69 days. And it's basically a story about hope, and yeah, that's it really. Faith, I suppose, resilience, not giving up. And it's great. You got obviously Antonio Banderas is the lead. You got Rodrigo Santoro, Juliette Binoche, James Brolin, Bob Gunton, Gabriel Byrne. Music's by James Horner. Must have been one of his last scores, because I think this 2015 this came out, which was the year he passed away, I think. And yeah, it's a fantastic film. If you like your true stories, I highly urge you to check this one out, because I don't think you'd be disappointed with this one. That's The 33. Another true story next, and that is 42, with the late great Chadwick Boseman and Harrison Ford, all about Jackie Robinson, who was the first coloured player to be signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers, and Harrison Ford was the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers at that time, and he took a chance on him, and considered one of the greatest sporting athletes of all time, apparently. Obviously, not big on baseball, are we, in this country? And I'm not a big sports person myself, so I watch these sports films and I don't know anything about the people in it, but it's a very inspirational story, like an underdog kind of story. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. If you like your true story, underdog stories, then definitely one that I would recommend giving a go. Next up, we have one called August Rush, which is, I suppose it's like a music-based fantasy type drama, I suppose is the best way to describe it. It's about a young boy who has been separated from his parents, but he's like a musical genius. And yeah, that's all I'll really say. I won't go on into it too much, but you've got Freddie Highmore who plays the lead. You've got Kerry Russell, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, Terrence Howard, and Robin Williams. And yeah, it's a really nice, feel-good film. Yeah, it's good. Robin Williams is great in it as usual. Kind of an under-the-radar one. I'm surprised it even has an American Blu-ray release at that. But yeah, definitely one again I would recommend. Then next up, personal favourite of mine, A Walk to Remember. This is the German release. I think it's the cheapest release you could probably get. But yeah, if you're into your like sentimental, romantic drama type things, teen coming of age sort of stories, then this one will definitely be for you. It's based on a Nicholas Sparks novel, and if you've watched my channel for a long time, you'll know that I'm a big fan of his adaptations, which include like The Notebook. What else did he do? Nights in Rodanthe, Message in a Bottle. I'm trying to think what else that Safe Haven, I think, might have been one of his as well. The Best of Me, which I really like as well. But yeah, your typical thing: boy meets girl, fall in love, something happens. I'm not going to go into details. If you like the sound of it, if you like the look of it, then yeah, another one I would definitely recommend. Then next up, another true story, and we have Brian Banks, which is an inspirational true story of Brian Banks, who was an All-American high school football star. I'm just going to read the blurb because it's easier than me trying to explain it. Committed to USC, who finds his life upended when he is wrongly convicted of a crime he didn't commit. Despite the lack of evidence, Banks is railroaded through a broken justice system and sentenced to a decade of prison and probation. Years later, with the support of Justin Brooks, played by Greg Kinnear, and the California Innocence Project, Banks fights to reclaim his life and fulfill his dreams of playing in the NFL. It has a very small performance of Morgan Freeman in this as well, who's not actually credited. Obviously, you've got Aldous Hodge playing Brian Banks. You've got Sherry Shepherd playing his mum. As I said, Greg Kinnear playing like his, I suppose it was his lawyer, I think. And yeah, it's a really good, again, really inspirational true story. Feel-good film of sorts. And yeah, one that I really enjoy and I watch quite a bit. So that's Brian Banks. Next up, I suppose this is actually technically Disney's Touchstone. Bringing Down the House, this is being the Australian import. I'm a big sucker for early noughties comedy, and I like this one. I like Steve Martin, I like Eugene Levy, Queen Latifah's great in this. You got Betty White in this, who's hilarious as well. She's sort of like a racist neighbour, I'll say. And basically, Steve Martin plays, I'll read again the back because it's probably easier. When Peter Sanderson, played by Steve Martin, a divorced, uptight lawyer, meets Charlene, played by Queen Latifah, a street-smart soul sister who's just escaped from prison. His life is turned upside down, crazy complications abound, and Peter soon discovers he may need Charlene just as much as she needs him. It's a house full of fun your family will enjoy again and again. And it's a very funny film. I laugh. Eugene Levy has some great one-liners in this. Steve Martin's really funny, and it's just a comedy of errors. You got Joan Plowright, who's got a fantastic role in this, the late Joan Plowright. Jean Smart plays his ex-wife. She's great in it. It's just a really good, really funny film that I didn't know about before I saw the Blu-ray and bought it. But yeah, I don't know how easily to get this is because it's Australian. But yeah, if you can get it, I would recommend checking it out. Next up, we have another Kevin Costner film, and that one is called For Love of the Game. And it's actually a Sam Raimi film. Again, all about baseball, I believe. So it says, legendary Detroit Tigers pitcher Billy Chappell, Kevin Costner, has always been better at baseball than at love. Just ask Jane, played by Kelly Preston, his on-again, off-again girlfriend. At the end of a disappointing season, just before what may be the last professional game of his life, Jane tells Billy she's leaving him. Now with his career and his love life in the balance, Billy battles against his physical and emotional limits as he plays the game of his life. And now with every pitch, Billy comes closer to making the most important decision of his life. The suspense doesn't end until the last ball is thrown in this heartwarming drama about love, life, and the perfect game. And I would definitely say this is an underrated Sam Raimi film. Hits you in all the right spots. Kevin Costner's excellent, Kelly Preston's excellent. And yeah, keeps you entertained all the way throughout. So if you like a good romantic drama based around sports, then one I would definitely recommend, For Love of the Game. Then next up, another true story we've got now, The Good Life, Reese Witherspoon. In 1983, orphans of the civil war in Sudan, known as the Lost Boys, travelled nearly 1,000 miles on foot, enduring unspeakable circumstances in search of refuge. Over a decade later, a humanitarian effort would bring thousands of these survivors to America. The Good Lie is the uplifting, true-to-life tale of four friends' journey from their devastated homeland to the foreign world that is modern America, and the people who help empower them to begin again. And basically, Reese Witherspoon's character takes these four friends in, helps them adapt to living life in America, education, helps them with jobs. And again, it's just another inspirational true story. Reese Witherspoon's really great in it. You've got Corey Stoll in this as well. Don't recognise any of the other names on the back. But yeah, I remember it being a really good, interesting watch. So if that sounds like your film, again, I would recommend checking it out. Next up, we have Guarding Tess with Nicolas Cage and the great Shirley MacLaine. Great comedy. This is region free again. This is the American import because I think it's the cheapest way to get it. Again, I'll read the back. Shirley MacLaine and Nicolas Cage star in this comic, compassionate look at life after the White House for two former Washington insiders, First Lady Tess Carlisle and Secret Service Agent Doug Chesnick. That's all it says. So it doesn't give you much, but it's basically it's a comedy, a heartwarming, uplifting comedy. I suppose about second chance in life, suppose, sort of thing, about their relationship with each other. And yeah, I remember it being really funny, a nice, pleasant watch. If you like Nicolas Cage, a decent film of his, so another one that I would recommend checking out. Next up, we have Heaven Can Wait, which is a 1978 film starring Warren Beatty, which I believe was remade and it's called Down to Earth with Chris Rock in the early 2000s. I can't read the back because it's clearly all in German, but it also stars Julie Christie, and it's basically about this athlete. I think he's a football star. Something happens to him and he dies, but he's given a second chance to go back and try again. So he goes in back as in someone else's body, a new body, and meets Julie Christie's character, who I think he goes back, is it as Charles Grodin? I can't remember now. But yeah, it's about second chances he gets, and yeah, it's very similar to one I spoke about in the last video, Chances Are, but they're both really good. You've also got, as I said, Charles Grodin, James Mason, Dyan Cannon, Jack Warden, and it was directed by Warren Beatty as well, and yep, thoroughly enjoyable film. Next up, another one that's technically Disney, but I think it's Touchstone again. Yeah, Touchstone. First of quite a few Robert Redford films I think I've got. The Horse Whisperer from 1998, and it's as follows. After a devastating riding accident, a young girl, played by a very young Scarlett Johansson, and her beloved horse are left with serious physical and emotional scars. When her mother, played by Kristen Scott Thomas, calls on the Horse Whisperer, played by Robert Redford, to help, she meets a rugged rancher who not only has an extraordinary gift with animals, but also an ability to enrich the lives of people around him. Now, this one was also directed by Robert Redford and also stars Sam Neill, Diane Wiest, and Chris Cooper. And yep, another really good film. Quite long, 169 minutes, so it's a pretty long film. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Got a great score as well. Who does the score? Thomas Newman. That would be why. I love him. He's my favourite composer. And yeah, it's just a very enjoyable film, written by Eric Roth, who's a great writer. Yeah, was nominated for quite a few Academy Awards, I think. So yeah, another one under the radar, but highly recommended. And another Robert Redford film that you can only get on import, a great film, Indecent Proposal. Robert Redford, Demi Moore, Woody Harrelson. Again, I shall read the back. Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson are Diana and David Murphy, a financially strapped couple who are betting on a quick trip to Las Vegas to deal them a lucky hand. But the odds are suddenly even more attractive when billionaire John Gage, played by Robert Redford, ups the ante, complete financial freedom. The price? One night of passion with Diana. The payoff? A cool $1 million. But what seems to be a quick and simple solution to their money problems creates more friction than the couple bargained for, as the high stakes of trust, love, and attraction come into play as part of Gage's compelling proposal. It's an Adrian Lyne film, who's known for Fatal Attraction, Flashdance. He did a great one called Unfaithful as well. So he's really good at the erotic thriller, which I suppose you would put this in. And yeah, really entertaining film. John Barry does the music. Again, Robert Redford, another great performance from him. Yep, great thriller this one. Indecent Proposal. Then next up we have In Love and War, which is a film by Richard Attenborough, starring Sandra Bullock and Chris O'Donnell, and is as follows. Caught in the crossfire of a world at war, love was the last thing on their minds. But for a beautiful nurse and a heroic young soldier in search of adventure, romance blossomed and changed their lives forever. Sandra Bullock and Chris O'Donnell star in Academy Award winner Richard Attenborough's epic love story about Ernest Hemingway and the romance which inspired him to write his masterpiece, A Farewell to Arms. A story of desperate love and imminent danger, it chronicles the relationship between 18-year-old Hemingway and Agnes von Kurowski, the medical aide who nursed him back to health after a devastating battlefield injury. If you like your love stories, again, a true story. Another one I would very thoroughly recommend is Richard Attenborough, who very rarely goes wrong, and it makes for a great watch. Next up, one that a lot of people don't like, is generally considered Kevin Smith's worst film, but I have a big soft spot for it, and that is Jersey Girl, with Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler, Jennifer Lopez, George Carlin, Stephen Root. Decent cast. Jason Biggs. As I said, directed by Kevin Smith. This is the Spanish import, I believe. I think with these, because I've got another one which I've picked up last year, I think unfortunately the subtitles are locked in Spanish, so it's a bummer. But I think at the time I bought this, it was the only way you could get it. I'm not sure if they've released it anywhere else now, but yeah, really good film about a father trying to raise his young daughter on his own, falling in love again, the ways of being a parent, single parent. It's quite funny. I thought it was quite funny, quite heartwarming as well, especially moments towards the end. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but again, obviously not for everyone. Next up, we have Just Mercy. This, I believe, is the French release. About the true story about, I can't remember his name, Brian Stevenson, played by Michael B. Jordan, who basically, his job was to try and, he's a lawyer that tries to help people on death row, basically, and he's got to try and get, what's his name, Walter McMillan, played by Jamie Foxx, off of a crime he's been, a very serious crime he's been accused of and imprisoned for, and he's on death row for it, that he has said that he didn't commit. And so it's basically down to Brian, played by Michael B. Jordan, to prove that he is not responsible for this crime. We've also got Brie Larson in this, who's I suppose like a legal aid, just like a local legal aid. You've got Rob Morgan, who's got a great performance in this, Tim Blake Nelson, Rafe Spall, and yeah, really, again, great true story. If you like true stories, another one I'd recommend. A few more to go. Next up, we have one of my other guilty pleasures, really cheesy comedy from the 80s, and that's Mannequin. Andrew McCarthy, Kim Cattrall, Estelle Getty, G.W. Bailey, who obviously was also starred in Police Academy with Kim Cattrall. And yet, really good thing about a man who creates mannequins. He's offered a job. I think he dresses mannequins, actually. He's offered a job in a big department store. He finds this mannequin, and she comes alive, and they fall in love. And yeah, really funny. Another really good romantic comedy. Really good, and it's got my favourite song of all time, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, which is what it was made specifically for this film, I believe. 1987, it's 93 minutes long. I would read you the synopsis, but again, it's all in German. We have 4 more to go. Next up, we have Turner and Hooch, another Tom Hanks film. Or is it? No, I don't think I actually have mentioned Tom Hanks in this video yet. It's a Tom Hanks film, then. and I love it. It's about, obviously, I can read the back because it's Australian. Tom Hanks stars as Scott Turner, a compulsively neat detective whose tidy world goes to the dogs when he's forced to team up with the drooling slob of a junkyard dog named Hooch. Not exactly man's best friend, Hooch turns Turner's life upside down, wrecking Turner's home, career and budding romance. It's a hilarious non-stop test of wills between this mismatched duo, leading to the most unflightly friendship you've ever seen. And it's a very funny film, again, very heartwarming, very family oriented. Yeah, just another feel-good comedy. So yeah, Turner and Hooch. Next up, one that I should have mentioned in the last video because I love this film and it's a shame that this hasn't been released in England, and that is The Whale. Brendan Fraser obviously winning his Oscar for this role. And it is as follows. From Darren Aronofsky comes The Whale, the story of a reclusive English teacher who attempts to reconnect with his estranged teenage daughter, and it's based on a play of the same name, and it also stars Hong Chow, Sadie Sink, and who's the other guy? Ty Simpkins. Oh, and Samantha Morton, who plays his ex-wife. And this is the performance of a lifetime from Brendan Fraser. It's a fantastic film that I urge people to watch if they haven't. It's a very hard watch because of just the subject matter, but a beautiful film nonetheless. And yeah, Brendan Fraser just gives the performance of a lifetime in this, and he definitely deserved the Oscar. Next up, the last Robert Redford film, and it is The Way We Were, also starring Barbra Streisand. Yeah, really good love story. Obviously, the song came of the same name. I think, from what I remember, they're both at college or university. They meet and fall in love, but they're kind of from different backgrounds. They've got different views of the world, but they love each other. From what I remember, I think Barbra Streisand's character is quite political, and Robert Redford's something to do with the war. But yeah, I remember it being a really good love story. It's a Sidney Pollack film as well, and he very rarely goes wrong. So yeah, that's The Way We Were. And last but by no means least, another Tom Hanks film, and that is You've Got Mail with Meg Ryan, a Nora Ephron film, again in Foreign on the Back. Also stars Greg Kinnear and Parker Posey, and along the lines of like Sleepless in Seattle and their other team ups. Basically, Meg Ryan owns this small bookstore, and Tom Hanks is a big shot at this big company that's buying out all these small bookstores and putting in like your Waterstones equivalent, basically. And they start writing to each other via email, which is like a new thing at the time, and they don't know that they're talking, like, because she obviously knows him in real life, but when they're writing, they don't know that they're speaking to each other, and they start a rapport with each other, start getting close, and that's where I'll leave it. It's a very heartwarming and yep, uplifting comedy. Yeah, if you like Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, if you like Sleepless in Seattle, then it's a no-brainer to watch. But yeah, unfortunately, I think German, American imports there are, but no English, which is a shame, no UK import. But yeah, that's You've Got Mail. And that's it for this series, I suppose, of videos of imports in my collection. I've got some that I've still not watched yet. When I get more, there may be a part 3 later down the road, maybe this time next year. Who knows? See how much more imports I get in the collection. But let me know if you've got any of these imports, if there are any imports in your collection that you think that deserve a UK release that just haven't got one yet. Anything, let me know down in the comments below. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Turn your notification bell on so you know when I have a new video uploaded to the channel. Comment down below anything and everything. As you know, I always take the time to get back to anyone that leaves me a comment because I really do appreciate it. And that is it. So until next time, everyone, take care. Goodbye.